What are the implications on how you pay a realtor after the lawsuit settlement by the National Association of Realtors? Well, I'm going to share those implications, plus an obvious one that no one's talking about. I've got that and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, we all are aware now. We just don't know what the changes will end up being, and that is after the landmark lawsuit of the National Association of Realtors and settlement of over $400 million due to some improper handling of agent commissions. So I want to get into the implications, even though it's not entirely clear, but there's one obvious one no one's talking about. Get into that in just a second. Essentially, here's what happens. You guys know this, but when you are selling your house, you're going to pay a realtor commission of, assuming you're using a realtor, of let's say 6%, okay? And half of that 6%, so 3, goes to the agent that you're using to help you sell your house. And then the other half of that, the other 3%, goes to the agent that's representing the buyer. So essentially what it means is the buyer's real estate agent, the buyer's not paying for that. You are paying for it as the seller, or the seller is paying for it. And I'm not saying this is right, this is wrong. I'm indifferent. That's just how it's been for the most part. And and again, I'm not an expert in these matters, but I was always aware that, okay, that's negotiable. It could, I remember it being 7% and then it switched to 6%, and it's negotiable, but for the most part, it's 6%. And the key is that the buyer really wasn't paying it. The seller was paying it. And this is sort of offered an incentive, or at least not a drag on the buyer's motivation to make an enormous purchase. The seller is already fairly, motivated. They want to sell the house and receive the proceeds, or they're excited to be moving or whatever. The buyer, obviously, they're making an enormous purchase here, and so to help make sure that there isn't any unnecessary drag on that, having the expense be borne by the sellers, I think that all worked out. But check it out here. I'm including the link below, but as you guys know, major headlines recently, this is going to change. It is changing. We don't know exactly how, but in an enormous lawsuit just recently, the National Association of Realtors agreed to pay over $400 million because essentially there was just some foul play involved, and working together, there were agents, big brokerages that inflated commissions and some foul play. So what are the potential implications of this? Well, number one, it is going to take some time for that dust to settle and figure that out, especially with something as commonplace and critical as making a home purchase. For many people, this is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make in your life, or any time you move. That's an enormous decision. So it's going to take some time for the market to figure out, okay, what does this mean? But one of the implications is that buyers might be paying their realtor directly, right? Directly. So it might come out of their closing costs, coming out of the buyer's pocket, as opposed to borne fully by the sellers, the way that it's been right now. All the dust could settle, and it could just continue to be borne by the seller. Don't know, but it's very likely, or it seems more likely, one of the implications is the buyer will actually be paying the 3% or whatever it is. They'll be negotiating with their agent directly and could be paying for that, as opposed to the seller paying for it. And second, this article suggests, and I would agree, the second implication is, well, oftentimes this is something that is sort of brushed under the rug when you're buying, especially as a young couple. You might reach out to a realtor. Oh, we're excited buying a house. How much is it going to cost to pay you, for your help? And the realtor's quick to say, oh, don't worry about it. I'm compensated by the seller whenever we find the house, so don't worry about it. And so any contract or anything isn't really discussed up front. They just, hey, let's go find your dream house, sort of thing. Well, now it's very possible that a contract will be signed up front before the buying agent really starts helping the potential buyers. Is, hey, here's what the cost is going to be, and I'm representing you for X period of time, and let's get the disclosures or that formality out of the way up front before we go find that dream house. That's likely to shift. It's going to take time before we figure out exactly how the market's going to respond to this and what the new way of sellers paying their agent will be and buyers paying their agent, and likely there will be some new contracts. So that's fairly obvious. We'll wait and see. But there's one thing that, at least for me, maybe you've seen it. I have not seen it. But as soon as I heard about the settlement, I thought, oh, this is going to slow the housing market down even more. And no one's really talking about that. Because here's the thing. Even this article suggests, well, we're sort of in limbo. The lawsuit says this is all going to get sorted out by this summer, but it's likely going to take a little bit longer than that. And until then, carry on as usual. I'm not so sure, guys. And if you're already in the process of selling a house or buying a house, then that's fine. But to me, if I am a seller and I already am maybe a little unsure about selling because interest rates currently are so high. So if I sell, I'm getting rid of my really, really low interest rate. Am I more inclined to sell or more inclined to delay if it's possible by delaying selling my house, I won't have to pay both the seller's side of the commission and the buyer's side of the commission? To me, this just seems obvious that there are going to be less sellers bringing their home and putting their home on the market. I don't know, and I could be missing something, or someone else could have seen this, or could have said this. I have not seen it. I have not heard a rebuttal to this, and by goodness, by golly, if you have one, leave it in the comments below. There probably is a logical reason, but to me, if I'm a seller and there's a chance that I'm only going to need to pay 3% in a commission for my agent that's helping versus a full 6% both for the selling agent and the buyer's agent, I'm going to wait. I mean, 3% on a big number is a big number. And to me, this just seems an obvious implication is even more people will be hesitant to list their house and put it on the market. Early on, as interest rates started to go up and mortgage rates started to go up, there was this, that's gonna bring housing values back down, and this really hot housing market is gonna slow down and prices will stabilize, and it didn't. And we were one of the first to point out that, well, as interest rates go up, if you were lucky enough and fortunate enough to lock in an interest rate on your mortgage at 2.5% or 3%, how interested are you going to be in at listing that house and trading a 3% mortgage for a 6% mortgage? Yeah, I actually think fewer people will list their house, and prices might not continue to go up, but I don't really see them going down. And that's been what's happened. And even though rates have stayed higher for longer, and it's becoming more of a norm that mortgage rates are at these elevated levels, I still don't see a lot of sellers rushing to list their house. And I think with this ambiguity or uncertainty that sellers might not have to pay as much in realtor commissions, I think all the more they might slow down listing their house. So we'll see how this unfolds and shakes out. If you're already in the process, my goodness, just make sure you're working with your CFP, working with a realtor that you trust and who's going to help you navigate this sort of, confusing time between settlement and kind of new reality. So make sure you're working with folks that you trust. And if you have not yet, decided to sell your house, list your house, or buy, it may make sense to just tread water here and wait to see exactly how this kind of gets figured out. And my guess is there's going to be a big incentive for them to figure it out soon. They said it would be by July, and there's a lot that needs to be sorted out by then. But I think they're going to be pretty motivated to figure that out because of this issue. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one of my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@Korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.